welcome back to the Graceful Tangle YouTube channel. I'm Amy Kate, a young but passionate knitter and crocheter. You can find all of the links to where you can find me on the social media in the description box below, so be sure to check those out if you haven't already. And of course, I would love it if you go ahead and subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you can know each and every time I upload a new video. Alrighty guys, so today's video is a little bit different, but I'm really excited about it because it's kind of launching into a whole new series that I want to start and want to share with you guys, and that is books. Knitting books, crochet books, stitch pattern books, any and all of those books I am so excited about. My family loves books. We actually have a room in our house that we have dedicated the name library to. As you may or may not know, if you're new around here, I am currently in college but was homeschooled, and I have 3 younger siblings who are still homeschooled. And so a lot of books just kind of goes along with that, and we have taken that little phrase and went with it. We have so many books. And books are just some of those things that you just have to have. Like, reading is so important, and learning from books is so important, and something that my family has always done and will always do. And I can't help but carry that into my kind of knit and crochet life as well. So I wanted to take some time today to talk about my favorite knit and crochet books that I have found so far. Now, I have specifically chosen books that are on the Knitpicks website today because Knitpicks is having a book sale right now. So it's ending in just a little bit, so be sure to check it out if you haven't already. But they kind of have this sale semi-frequently, so if you don't catch it this time, they're sure to go on sale again. And I just wanted to kind of launch this series now so that if you are curious about a book, or and I happen to share it, or if you're just waiting to buy it, I encourage you to do so. So I have a few picked out today, and of course I want to kind of dive into this series more as time goes on and talk about, give like a detailed review about one specific book or a collection of books. If you have any suggestions, I would love to hear them in the comments section below, so be sure to do that. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and hop right into it. Now, if you are familiar with Knitpicks, they come out with a few collections each year. And what those collections are is a specific topic, such as sweaters or socks or cowls or whatever the case may be, or maybe a technique, such as mosaic knitting, mosaic crocheting, color work, that sort of thing. So they come out with a few of those each year, and a couple of those have been these 3 books that I want to talk about with you guys. Now, this one is called Under 200, and again, this one is by Knitpicks himself. I absolutely love this book. I have had it for many years now. I got it a few years ago for Christmas and have just loved it. I have quite a few little paper tabs in here marking things that I want to make in the future. I have already made some things from this book. Let me see if I can find one and show it to you. Where is it? There we go. So this is the Snowy Bunny. I actually have a video all about this little guy. I love him so much. I love knitting him, and so that is in here. Basically, the premise of this book is everything requires 200 grams of yarn or less, which is just so fun if you're limited on yardage, or if you want to make a project that is substantial and, is worthwhile and going to take you some time to make, but not something completely huge, like a sweater. So like this is full of accessories, shawls, there's a few stuffed animals. On the back here you can see this adorable little giraffe. I actually have the yarn to make that. I just haven't gotten around to it yet, but I should really do that. So I really love this book, and I love the fact that everything is under 200 grams of yarn. They have multiple books like this. There's one for crochet. There's, I think, maybe a couple more for knitting. It's just a really good idea, and I like that they put all of those patterns into one book. Alrighty, the next book that I wanted to talk about is Mosaic Medley. Now, this one is a slip stitch color work collection. So there's sweaters, there's cowls. I love every single item in this book. I got this one pretty recently from Knitpicks. They sent it to me, and I haven't actually made anything from it yet, but I really want to. there was just so many beautiful projects in this. This is absolutely amazing. Oh my goodness. I mean, look at just the things that you can do with mosaic knitting absolutely boggles my mind. It's something that I have not really dived into yet, but something that I really want to learn more about. A couple of other things. There is this beanie. And again, this is a great example of a collection that is very diverse. So there's hats, there's shawls, there's cowls. Look at this cowl. I want to make this one so bad. Let me see if I can show you a picture. Yeah. Look at that. Oh my goodness. So it has flowers on it, but they're knitted. Oh my goodness. I just love it so much. So, again, there's sweaters in this book. Here's a picture of one of the sweaters. And then, of course, there is the one that's on the cover there. That one I actually really want to make. So, this is definitely one that I'm going to be diving into more. And let me know if you want to hear more about it and kind of see my process behind making one of these projects, because that's definitely something I want to dive into. Alrighty, and then the last collection that I wanted to share with you guys is the Vivid Knit Shawl collection. So this one was based on mosaic knitting. This one was based on a certain amount of yarn, and all of the projects were under that amount. And then this one is based on a specific type of garment, shawls. So they are all very unique, very different. There's multiple patterns in here. Let me find a couple to share with you. Let's see. Here is a lace shawl. You can kind of see that. It is so beautiful. I can only imagine how long that takes to make. Just because it's so much lace. Let's see. Here's one that is super fun. It has tassels at the end, which I really love. And it looks like those are the ends, actually. So you don't have to weave a new ends. That's what it looks like. Don't quote me on that because I'm not 100% sure, but that's definitely what it looks like. Anyway, and you can see that, all of the colors are vivid, hence the name as well. I love this color combo so much. This mustard with the tweedy kind of grayish white. I think that is so pretty. So the collections are just a super fun way to get a large selection of patterns that are all kind of cohesive and go together. Now, I wanted to now jump into a few books that I love for designing. So there's a couple that I want to share that I just think every knitter should have because they are beautiful books filled with so much good information. And then there's a couple that I wanted to talk about specifically for designers. So if you were a designer, I think that you could gain a lot from these books. So the first one is the Japanese Knitting Stitch Bible. Now, I got this one quite a while ago as well. It is just absolutely gorgeous. This is one of those books that you just want to sit down with a cup of tea under a cozy blanket and look at all of the stitch patterns. I mean, it is just absolutely incredible. The details are flawless. I mean, look at those cables. Oh my goodness. It's just absolutely beautiful. All of the colors that the swatches were done in are absolutely gorgeous, and it's just like a whole palette in and of itself. So you can see there's so many here. Now, one thing that I will say about this book is that all of the patterns are charted. So there's not written instructions. There is a very detailed key in the front here, so you can learn what each symbol represents in the chart. But if you aren't familiar with knitting charts, or if you rely heavily on written instructions, I wouldn't necessarily suggest this book. But at the same time, it's just such a beautiful one to have on your bookshelf because it's so inspiring to look at, and it can really just inspire you. I mean, that's all there is to it, really. I love looking at this and looking at all of the cables and all of the thought that went into creating this book. It's just amazing to think about. And then that leads me to my next book that all knitters should have, and that is the Vogue knitting book, the ultimate knitting book. Now, I got this book, let's see, a couple of years ago. I think it was about 2 years ago. And it had just come out. This is I don't want to say it incorrectly, so let me find when this was published. This is the most recent version, at least to my knowledge, 2018. So yeah, about 2 years ago, because I got it pretty soon after it came out. And this book is literally what it says, the ultimate knitting book. It has stitch patterns, it has instructions and techniques, it has design information. I would suggest this to a designer, but at the same time, even if you're just a knitter, I think it could be so beneficial, because if you come across something in the pattern or in any pattern that you are hesitant about, it is most likely in this book. They have increased instructions, decreased instructions, working on the bias. There's just so many things that you can learn from just reading this book. I have a couple of knitting books that I really like to just treat as textbooks and like read them and really understand what they are trying to teach, just like you would read, you know, a math book or a science book, because even though, you know, knitting and crocheting obviously isn't necessarily a form of education, there's so much to learn from it, just like there's so much to learn from anything you decide to dive into. And this book is definitely one that I would suggest having in your collection, for sure. That, and it is just absolutely beautiful. I mean, again, it's so fun and inspiring to just look through. Alrighty, and then the last books that I wanted to talk about are 2 Stitch Dictionaries. Now, Stitch Dictionaries is like a huge collection in and of itself. I want so many Stitch Dictionaries because they're so much fun to look through. I love using these Stitch instructions in my own designs and kind of recreating them to make them my own and make them kind of put a unique twist on them. And they are just so fun to have. If you have a favorite Stitch Dictionary, I would love to hear it in the comments below, because I don't have a very large collection, but I am definitely looking to grow that, because looking through these books, these 2 books that I got very recently, has already been so inspiring, and I cannot wait to really dive into them more. So these 2 books are the Knitting All Around Stitch Dictionaries. Now, there is 2. This book is super unique because it has all of these stitch patterns, more than 150 of them, and then it has instructions for how to knit them flat and how to knit them in the round. So if you aren't familiar, knitting in the round is much different than knitting flat because you aren't turning your work, and so of course that completely changes your stitches. I love knitting in the round. I think it is, I honestly prefer it to knitting flat. I really love the look of stockinette, which is just the knit stitch. If you are working in the working flat, it is knitting a row and purling a row. So a lot of people don't love to purl, and so if you knit in the round, it significantly decreases the amount of stitches that you're going to be purling based on the stitch pattern, of course, because the natural stitch is the knit stitch, and it gives you that stockinette look. So of course, because of that, it changes the instructions on if a stitch pattern is written for flat knitting or working in the round. This book is so unique because it gives you instructions for both of those things, and I think that is so handy and so valuable, and not very common. I have a couple Stitch Dictionaries, but neither of them have that unique of a design, and I just absolutely love this about this book. So again, there are so many gorgeous stitches in here. Let me just show you a couple. This is also kind of built like a binder almost, so it is spiral bound, which is why it is pretty noisy. But there is lace patterns, there's knit and purl patterns. There are also some actual patterns, like there's a couple of beanie patterns. Let me see if I can get to one without being too noisy here. Oh, well, here, I'll show you this one. So this is a cabled vest. So what you'll see that it kind of does is show you a stitch and give you the instructions for that stitch, and then it will have a pattern using that stitch. Now, that's not for all of them. It's usually kind of at the end of a collection. So like at the knit and purl section, there'll be a pattern. At the end of the cabled section, there'll be a pattern. But I really like that it does that, because that means that even if you aren't a designer, and even if you aren't going to write your own pattern, utilizing some parts of that stitch pattern, you can still use this book and enjoy it. And I think that is super beneficial and super fun. So I hope that you enjoyed kind of hearing all about these books. They're all going to be linked in the description box below. So if you want to dive into them more yourself, or check them out, or even purchase them on KnitPicks, you can go ahead and do that. They are affiliate links, so I will get a small commission at no additional charge to you. And I am always so grateful to anyone and everyone who decides to use those links. It really means so much. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, let me know in the comments below if there were any other books that you want to see me review, or you just think I should check out, because I want to grow my collection. I really love having a good selection of knit and crochet books, and I think it's really important that all knitters do the same. You know, with modern technology, it can be easy to just want it all on your phone or computer, but nothing beats the smell of a good book, and I think that knit and crochet books just make it that much more fun, in my personal opinion. Now, one last thing before I go, Knitpicks does have a catalog. Here is what one looks like. This one is very old, so don't think, don't expect to find this one, but this is something that you can sign up for free on the Knitpicks website. Just scroll all the way down and you can see the instructions for that. This is just a super fun way to kind of get some inspiration every time they send a catalog out. I love receiving this in the mail. This one is from like 2018, so I've been receiving these catalogs for quite a while now, but it's just a fun way to kind of get a little bit of inspiration frequently throughout the year. So you can subscribe to that for free, but then also check out any other knit and crochet books that you might be interested in. Thank you so very much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to my channel, and again, check out all of those links in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all again next time. Bye!